Welcome to our YouTube channel, where wisdom meets inspiration. In this channel, we share valuable insights to help you become the best version of yourself.
Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today we are going to study certain very important things. See, by all that we have been studying in Panchadashi, the essential focus has always been on training of mind, isn't it? So that it helps us get knowledge of self. But actually speaking, when the knowledge of self is got, it has no connection with mind. It is illuminating the mind, and mind thinks it is a conscious entity. Because it gives us conscious experiences, we have this tendency to think mind is a conscious entity. Actually speaking, there is no mind, nor is it a conscious entity, because it borrows consciousness. But a first person experience, say, to get this, for that only all sadhana. The greatest masters have said this. The purpose of spiritual practice is to realize that ignorance does not exist. You never wear the body-mind complex. So, Jnana, jeta ekhane bola, what they are calling knowledge, it already is there. It is that consciousness that illumines all vrittis of the mind to give you what you are calling knowledge. So, it already exists. The goal is already there. The only problem is what is created by the mind, giving us the sense of being bound, being limited, being ignorant. So these are all mental vrittis, isn't it? So you see, now he will tell us that is why the discipline of sadhana is meant for training mind, turning mind inward, purifying mind. The whole point is that once that is done, direct insight into reality is God. And that is what is called God. Which means in Vedanta, the definition of God is very direct and pointed. It is so direct that our confused minds don't see the directness of it. Yes, the mind tends to complicate. But the actual definition of truth or God or the infinite, whatever you call it, it is so direct and it is there in our experience already. But mind has covered it up. So we will first go through some of these verses. Today is our final class on selected verses of Panchadashi. We go through some of these verses and then come to this direct insight about the nature of reality. Because if you are hunting for God, you have missed the point. God is already there. You are seeing him as something else. That's the only problem. According to Advaita Vedanta, it is a big error. So for that, we will first go through what is required to come to that insight. Go to page 468. Panchadashi by Swami Swahananda is the book I'm using. Page 469. See, 113th verse. See how meaningful it is. Chittameva hi samsara tat prayatnena shodhayet yat chittas tanmayo martyo guhyametat sanatanam. The mind is indeed the world. It should be purified with great effort. It is an ancient truth that the mind assumes the forms of the objects to which it is applied. See, this is our problem. The mind has got tinged with the exposures we have had, and it continues to work along those lines. The great truth of focus is if you concentrate on something for a long time, it will become yours. Your mind will get imbued with that, and it will become reality for you. And so then you think, what kind of vrittis we are encouraging all the time? Brooding over something, some negativity, something or the other. Now that has become real in your life. Although life is only Brahman, life is only consciousness and energy and buoyancy and light and happiness, we are becoming miserable due to these tendencies of our minds. This is what he's saying. Isn't this true? So check your mind. Whatever it says, don't take that as the final conclusion about yourself. Check your mind. You see, the meaning of this verse, which we just chanted, the mind is indeed the world. You know, the definition of world in Vedanta is very interesting. Samsara, samsarati iti samsara. It is always slipping off, moving. But yet you think it is the reality. All the doing of our minds, right? And then it should be purified with great effort. That is why, if you want a clear picture of what is God's world, Ishwar Srishti, you must clean up the mind first. It is an ancient truth that the mind assumes the form of the objects to which it is applied. You know, once you build focus on an object, you will start loving it deeply. It will become dear to you and you will become it. This is the power of your mind. So then where should we apply our mind? Same thing, same focus if we have been keeping on God. If we have been keeping on the scriptures, if we have been keeping on holy things, that will become ours. So life is like this. Please know this. The nature of your mind is what you will focus on will become your experience. And now think and see, in real life, what are we focusing on? Think and see. Now you go back to Delhi. Go back to your homes. And at 500 AQI you are functioning. What are the ways of the mind? Think and see on an everyday basis. When I'm doing my sadhana, I'm all right. But otherwise, a little bit of frustration, little depression, and then the mind is distracted constantly, restless. So you give it all sorts of exposure. Somehow you keep it engaged, and then you lose interest in your work. See, these tendencies of the mind, the only result of this kind of a working of the mind is a deep feeling of after some time you want to get out. You don't like it na. Itna kharab atmosphere create kiya hai andar. You don't like it now. When your own room is over cluttered, don't you move into the guest room? So now you want to move into another place. If you don't take care of your mind, this is what will happen. And then complaining, blaming, brooding. This is the tendency of the mind. So take care. If we don't culture our mind, and if sadhana is not kept up, purity of mind is not attained, we will suffer all these kinds of states. Then Vedanta will become, suna tha, acha laga tha tab, abhi to kuch nahi jeevan mein. This is how it will appear. Yes, then Pangot appears like a utopian place. So take care of the mind. This is what they are going to tell us. Why I selected these verses is what is essentially required for sadhana. This is something we have to know. Look at the next one, 114. Chittasya hi prasadena hanti karma shubha ashubham. Prasannatma atmani sthitva sukham akshayam ashnute. Through the purification of his mind, a man destroys the impressions of his good and evil karma. And the purified mind, abiding in the Atman, enjoys undiminishing bliss. This is the only way. Atma samstham mana kritva na kinchidapi chintayet. The mind must learn to abide in the state of pure consciousness. And that is not a state. The mind must go back to its source. A healthy mind will go back to its source. An unhealthy mind is brooding. Yes? Same circumstances, you see how the minds of different people work in different ways. This is the supreme interpreter of your life, your mind. So take care of it. The right conditioning, the right sanskars, exposures to all this, and the mind will naturally do this inquiry and resolve into the self. Otherwise, it will create a hell of an experience. Isn't it? Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. And so many great thinkers have thrown light on this. Mind in its own place will create a heaven or a hell. I remember one joke one Mark Twain. He said, my life is full of disasters, none of which ever happened. Mind is enough to create. You see, many people are like that. They are in the best of circumstances and having really their life can be really great, but the mind will not allow it. If you have conditioned it wrongly, it will only brood and complain and create a real hell in a heaven. So everything depends on how we have handled mind. Learn to look at it objectively. See, Vedantic meditation, that is what it will do for us. Instead of believing all that it is saying, see it objectively and study the circumstances of your own life. You will see life is always a blessing. It was given to us to evolve towards the highest. But no, you believe in your mind and the mind will give all sorts of things. Because, we have fed it wrong food for years. When you put bad food into the stomach even for a day, you're so uneasy that day, isn't it? That is what it is doing. It is so uneasy. So take care of your mind. The healthy mind is bouncing with energy. There is a light on the face, there's a joy on the face, and it will resolve into self-knowledge automatically. But the unhealthy mind will keep on creating trouble for you and people around you. Yes. A troublesome person, today you call them what? Toxic people, is one who's really suffering within himself, suffering his mind. And how to deal with such people? Thakur has said this. What Thakur has said about this? There are people with negative energies everywhere because they are struggling with their own mind. They have not found the way out. And the mind is conditioned very wrongly. So you have to deal with them with great patience. Shaw, Thakur used to say, Jai Shoy, She Roy. Jai Na Shoy, She Na Shoy. Which means if you forbear, you will... No, if you forbear, you will stay well. And if you don't, you will be destroyed. Bear with them because they are struggling with their minds. And if they are very dangerous, then you should adopt the second technique Thakur has given. Fosh korbe, he used to say. Hiss but don't bite. Put them in their place. An untrained mind is keep on creating trouble for itself and for others. It can't keep quiet. So that is why he's saying, take care of your mind. And you will find such people everywhere. Around you, in your own family, such people can be there. So now you must know how to handle them. See, Vedanta is very practical that way. Why this insistence on taking care of mind? So that we learn to live happily by ourselves. Vedanta never says, well, then you keep away or in some cave and don't bring anybody close to you. It never says that. If you develop the healthy mind, you can live with anybody with these principles. And you can change people also. So actually you bring people into your lives to share your joy. When you share your inner bliss, it is doubled. It is an utsav. It's a celebration of life. But if we have nothing to share, if I myself am bankrupt, what can I offer you? So that is why take care of your mind. And another thing he says is when one purifies the mind, the fruit of Shubha and Ashubha karma is removed. You go beyond karma, causality. Which means the real knowledge of the Atman will come. This is the way to transcend karma. Sri Ramakrishna used to put it very, very beautifully in devotional language. What he used to say? How long you have to do sandhya? As long as when you utter the name of God, if tears come into your eyes at the name of Hari and your hair stands on end, if this has happened, then no more you are bound by karma. You don't have to do sandhya anymore. Thakur used to say this. So you see, again, state of mind. Such a pure mind, just the name of Hari and tears are welling up and the hair is standing on end, then no more you have to do karma. Karma means that which will generate karma phal. No more you are bound by that. You don't need punya karma anymore because you have reached a pitch where you have transcended causality itself. So that is why you see everything depends on the purity of mind. Please know this for certain. Work on that. That is real culture. That is real civilization. So you can see how civilized we are. In spite of all our boasted civilization, the real culture is the culture of the human heart and human mind. Then I'm skipping 115 to 117 because same thing he is saying. Again and again, the mind can be of two types, pure and impure. So the impure mind is tainted by desire, pure mind is free of desire. So mind alone is the cause for bondage. And the nature of the pure mind you should know, that's all. The nature of the pure mind is, it is empty. So there is high awareness in it. But the nature of the impure mind is, it is highly tainted, full of desire. So how it will keep, your attention will keep deflecting from the truth of awareness. Right? So this is what he is giving, and this is there in the Upanishads itself. Brahma or Amrita Bindu Upanishad, Maitri Upanishad has all these ideas. And then come to 118. You see, he says, Samadhir nirdhuta malasya chetaso niveshitasya atmani yat sukham bhave na shakyate varnayitum gira tada swayam tad antakarena grihyate. This idea is there even in the Bhagavad Gita. You see, he says, the bliss arising from absorption in the contemplation of the self, when all sins and taints are washed off through the practice of Samadhi, cannot be described in words. One must feel it in one's own heart. One becomes speechless and completely content within oneself and blissful. How does the Bhagavad Gita describe this, it says, Buddhi grahyam atindriyam sukham. It is a joy which you can grasp through your higher intelligence, through your intuition, but not through your indriyas, not through your senses. It goes way beyond that. So you see, bliss arising from absorption in the contemplation of the self, with all taints washed away by repeated practice of Samadhi. That is why Samadhi state is so very important for Brahmajnana. Yes, the entire system is prepared to accept full knowledge. That is why yoga leads to Vedanta. If that yoga bal is there, you will see your grasp on Vedanta will be, from the first person perspective, it will be very clear. If there is no yoga bal, you are doing an intellectual activity and it is not yet first person experience. Because whatever happens, the knowledge of Brahman is ever my own real nature. It is the mind that is creating obstacles. Now I trained mind, automatically I will go into this. So don't think whatever, now we are going to discuss a huge, wonderful definition of the truth of Brahman. Don't think it is an intellectual exercise. They are bringing reasoning and logic to bring you conviction of the nature of reality. Once the mind is purified by Samadhi, you will intuit this fact. This is what they are saying. So don't skip the steps. This is what I am saying. And in places like this, really Dhyan and Samadhi are not alien to your experience, isn't it? Many of you have felt it. So dive into this again and again. See, I remember when I was in Dakshineshwar, long time I was in Dakshineshwar, I would see not only our brahmacharinis and monastics, long hours of japa and dhyan. This is part of their nature. Not only monastics, even householder devotees would come and sit on the bank of the Ganga or in the temple, long hours. A shrine is meant for that, a temple is meant for that, isn't it? Deep absorption. Now, if that kind of mati has to come, then there must be long practice behind, isn't it? So this is the standard method, please know. Make it part of your life. You don't go to an ashram to discuss administration or to discuss what you can do there. You go there primarily to train mind. You can do it through karma yoga, but primarily the meditative state, you're yearning for that. That is the purpose of an ashram. That is the purpose of a holy place. So achieve that. Then you are really intelligent. Some people come to us, like those who come to this Pankot village, those villagers tell them, यहाँ क्या क्या है देखने को? They will say, वो मुक्तेश्वर है वहाँ पर, फिर यहाँ एक आश्रम है. They will point out. Then straight they come here in the gate. Now if you then they come to talk to you, but you will see they have no idea of what. क्यों आए हैं घूमने? तो घूम के फिर क्या करेंगे? फिर वापस वो जॉब के लिए जाना है ना, इसलिए 2 दिन लेके आए. No other purpose in the mind. The idea is, if you don't have yearning for higher life will not happen. So don't come like a tourist. Come with a real. When here you can really call on God because of the silence and stillness. So this is what they are saying. Now we'll go to 119. Yadyapyasau chiram kalam samadhir durlabho nrinam tathapi kshaniko brahmanandam nischaya yat yasau, which means though it is rare for men to keep their minds long in the state of absorption, still even a glimpse of it confers conviction about the bliss of Brahman. Samadhi state is a very good training for the mind to know real being. And repeated practice of it will naturally give you the continuous knowledge of Brahman. Because we are looking at it through holes. Now those holes will become continuous by the repeated practice of Samadhi. That is what he says. Reality is ever as it is. You don't have to worry about it. Brahman alone is manifesting as this world. But I am seeing world and all kinds of mental projections. I am not seeing Brahman. So the repeated practice of Samadhi will introduce you to true knowledge. This is what they are saying. And that true knowledge is nothing but the reality of being. See, once you are repeatedly into these states of mind, what happens is the mind becomes very transparent, crystal clear. Now, whatever you discuss, even in the Upanishads, it will hit you. Yes, Upanishads are giving you direct pointers to the knowledge of Brahman. And some of the schools of Advaita Vedanta will also tell you nothing is required for getting this knowledge because it is already there. You don't even require mind training. See, this is for those who have already trained their minds, who are at that level of perception where they don't require to train mind anymore. So their perception will be like that only. The truth is already there. So you see the definition of God which you have been asking for. Definition of God, direct insight into the nature of reality. It is there in many Upanishads. Satchidananda Brahma, the Mahavakyas, Ayam Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. One very beautiful definition is in the Taittiriya Upanishad. The nature of God or reality. It is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So this is what you asked for. What is this exactly? How do you know? See, when you have a definition like this, it is a direct and you can say essential definition of Brahman. It is not an indicative definition. Indicative means it is not indicating Brahman. Like, for example, there are some passages in the Upanishads, Yatova imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayatyabhisam vishanti. This is there in Bhruguvalli. These are indicative definitions which are indicating to the nature of Brahman. But Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is direct definition. Encapsulating the essential nature of reality. Now, but because we have not practiced Samadhi to that extent, we require to unpack it. Unpack this statement. Satyam, this is a mantra. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Taittiriya Upanishad says this. So now we will try to unpack. I'm telling you, if there is sufficient practice, this one definition alone will take you into Brahma Vidya. Or the Mahavakyas alone are sufficient to take you into Brahma Jnana. But we will require to unpack and use logic to understand what they are saying, because the first person experience is not clear enough as yet. Right? If there is repeated practice of Samadhi, you don't even require a logical support. It is first person experience, felt experience of awareness will be there in your system. So you see how this is straight from Shankaracharya's interpretation, means his commentary on this Taittiriya Upanishad. So how does he define Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma? What is the explanation he gives? You have to follow this carefully, Neto, you will miss it. See, Brahman itself comes from the dhatu Brihat, the vast. Now, vast what? You may ask this. When there is no qualifier to that vast, qualifying noun or verb, then that vast itself means the infinite. So Brahman is infinite. Then he's saying Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Satyam, we will unpack the word Satyam. Satyam means the truth, the real. What is the definition of reality in Vedanta? Satya is equal to Nitya. That which does not change. That which does not change. And then there is something, see, now that table there's a wooden table there, yes? Actually speaking, there is only wood there. It is appearing as table to your senses and mind. So there is an underlying reality to every object. Right? See, is it better to say wave has water or water is appearing as wave? Which is better, tell me? Water is appearing as wave, isn't it? That's the fact. But at first glance, you may say, oh, wave and water. Wave is water. You may say this. It's not wrong to say it. But it is not sufficient. It's not the whole truth. The fact is, water is appearing as wave. Wood is appearing as table. So also, Satya means you must be able to discern between what is the underlying truth and what is the appearance. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So they will say similarly, just as wood is appearing as table and your water is appearing as wave, gold is appearing as ornament, electromagnetic radiation is appearing as color, Brahman is appearing as you. It is Brahman alone. There are no two things. There is no wood and table there. Yes? Correct, na? See, this is called Jnana Drishti. Don't allow your mind to overpower this sense, this Jnana Drishti. If you only say, no, there is only table there, you aren't even seeing, it's an interpretation of your mind and senses. There is only wood there. From the standpoint of, you see, the carpenter, he is only working with wood. From the standpoint of the goldsmith, he is only working with gold. For you, it is a piece of ornament for your neck or your hands or whatever. So you see, anything, name, form, function is attributed by mind and senses. But the truth there is gold. The truth of this name, form, function is only Brahman. Satyam, definition of Satyam is like this. Jnanam. Jnan means, in Vedantic terms, that which illumines everything, all knowledge. It is not that which is known through a vritti. It's a very big definition. Jnana means that which illumines all knowledge. So what illumines knowledge? The vrittis of your mind. Consciousness. So Brahman is consciousness. Brahman is reality. Brahman is consciousness. Brahman cannot be accommodated in your vrittis. Very sorry. And there's one more wonderful term there. Anantam. Anantam. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. You be clear about the see, Brahman, what we say in English, it's written as Brahma in Sanskrit. But this is not that creator God Brahma. This is the reality of existence. Reality of consciousness, universal consciousness, Brahman. This was the idea of God in the Vedic age. What about then your Vishnu and Shiva and all you find in temples? That was made much later. Because this impersonal reality, the mind is not able to grasp, they made it objective and symbolic, representative of Brahman. Yes? Yes? Are you understanding it? Huh? That is the place of idol worship. That is the place of image worship. It has its own great efficacy in our lives. But you should understand, the idol is not God. The idol is not God. That is why you see when you do Durga Puja, 9th, 10th day, you are putting the idol into Ganga. If idol was God, how you can do that? God is manifesting through the idol. Ma Durga is manifesting through the image. But image is not God. You lock him up in a temple and say God is only here. It is the stupidity of your mind. Nothing else. God manifests there, definitely. The idol or the image represents God. It is symbolic of the highest, but it is not the highest. Know this for certain. See, this is why Upanishadic study is so important. Otherwise, we will mess up terribly, and we have done it now. We have done it for long. When the English came, they didn't understand this bhav of Hinduism, and they called us idolaters, right? Then it took a whole lot of intellectuals of Kolkata to convince them we are not worshipping images, we are worshipping God represented by the image. Even in Abrahamic religions, this is there. God, he should never be worshipped in images. Why? How can you accommodate the infinite into something so finite? You're insulting God. But the Hindu understood that my mind is not able to grasp the infinite. So I will invoke him into the image, worship him there, and later I release the image and make him shine in my own heart through my worship, through my love. So you see, this is the idea of God in Hinduism. The truth is Nirgun Brahman. The truth of existence itself is God. Existence itself is God. So you see the word Anantam which they are going to use now, it has very profound meaning. Satyam, Jnanam we unpacked. Now Anantam we will unpack. Anantam means that which has no anta. Jiska ant nahi hai. Ant means limit. Right? In English. Now what are these limits? What is the understanding of limit? So in Vedanta, now they have very clear understanding of limits. The first limit is what is called Desha Pariched, which means limitation by space. Desha Pariched, limitation by space. See, now this object is here. Obviously, it is limited in this space. It is not there. I am here, which means obviously I am not there. I am cut out in a particular space, as it were. So this is called Desha Pariched. Pariched means limit. This is called spatial limit. It is there even in physics. See, Vedanta, it is there 5,000 years back. Shankara's commentary, Desha Pariched, the limitation of space is the first limit. Second is, don't lose the thread of connection, okay? In our new concept you are learning, but don't lose the thread. We are defining God. In that Anantam Shabda we are unpacking. The first limitation is the limitation of space. The second is the limitation of time. It is called temporal limit. Spatial limit and temporal limit. Which means if this table is present now, 100 years from now, this table will not remain as this table. It is limited in time. Today I am here. 50 years later, I will not be in this form. Who knows how we will be? So the point is this, every object is limited in time. This is the second limit, temporal limit. The third limit which Vedanta recognizes is what is called object limit, which you must wrap your mind around this concept, because we don't think like this in science. Object limit means it is the law of identification in logic, which means an object can be only that object. It cannot be a second object. A chair has the object limit of being only a chair. It is the law of identity in logic. Table, the object limit is it is only a table. Now by this definition, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, what they are saying is Brahman is not, he doesn't have Anta, he's Ananta. He has no limits. Suppose there was an object which didn't have spatial limit. What would it mean? Think and see. Think and see. Suppose it did not have a limit in space, which means it is there everywhere.
Omnipresent.
Omnipresent it will be. That is why Brahman is omnipresent. Because there is no spatial limit to it. Suppose it were not limited by time, then what it would be? Think and see. No time limit is there to something. Which means what?
Timeless.
Timeless. For all time it is there. It is eternal. So Brahman is eternal. Record it in your own way. We'll again go through it so that you don't miss out points. But see, this is how they are defining Brahman. When we say God is omnipresent, He is eternal, there is solid logical ground to say that. They are not saying it out of some poetry or affection, or there is a solid logic they are applying. Then, so spatial limit and temporal limit do not apply to Brahman. So also object limit. Suppose there was an entity which had no object limit. What would it mean?
He would be everything.
He is only everything. There is no thing apart from Him. No thing apart means what?
Advaita.
Na Dvaita. So Advaita is the truth of Brahman. There is no second thing apart from Him. Right? By definition, see, Ananta means so many things. This is Shankara's genius. This is how he has extracted the meaning of the Upanishadic passage to show Brahman is Nirgun Nirakar and Advaita is the truth of life. Whether you see it or not doesn't matter. This is the truth. Because it is free of spatial limit, temporal limit and object limit. That is why it is Ananta. So once more quickly, the meaning of Satyam is Nityam. Permanent, unchanging. And in anything there is an underlying reality, as it were, which is appearing as that. Right? What is that underlying reality? Brahman. Because you see, anything is a manifestation, you can say. I told you, water can manifest in so many forms, bubble and foam and waves. So you think and see, is it more correct to say wave has water or bubble has water or that foam is water, or is it correct to say water is appearing as wave, water is appearing as foam? Which is more correct? Water is appearing as wave. This is what they are saying. It is not that objects are in Brahman. That is all your imagination, that there is a consciousness like a matrix in which objects are located. Physics will tell you all this. They are saying this is called pantheism. Everything is God. That is not the fact. God alone is. Everything appears in that. Everything is an appearance. It is called panentheism in philosophy, which means not that the wave has water. Water alone is appearing as wave. Brahman alone is appearing as this world. This is the logical standpoint of Vedanta. So, can I say that table has wood? Actually, we are saying something as silly as that. Table has wood. Table has green color. We are saying like that. Wood alone is appearing as table. Wood alone is appearing as window. Wood alone is appearing as anything made out of wood. So also Brahman alone appears as this world of manifestation. There are no two realities, world and Brahman. There is only Brahman. To our clouded sight, it appears as world. And the mind is busy interpreting, without seeing Brahman, interpreting that world for us. So that's why you should train the mind through Samadhi and dive into the scripture. I'm telling you, when you read Shankara's commentary on all this, it thrills you to the core. I have done this for many years. You may be thinking Mataji is all the time doing Samvit and that coursework and all that. Actually, I'm doing this. All my free time, I use it in extracting knowledge from the scriptures, and it can only be done if your mind is in a very, very meditative state. Then it hits you. My God, Shankara's commentary on Taittiriya Upanishad, it is so marvelous. It's a thriller. You have thriller movies, no? I get thrill from this. It's really a thriller. Gai kata day. It's like that. Every sentence, the way he's unpacking, every mantra. Only that mind can do that, And then we are reducing all this into concepts and idioms which modern youngsters can understand. Then they are becoming courses in universities. Once I saw in that SSU university, those children are sitting and by-hearting that definition of attention. I laughed my heart out, That is a definition which I got through meditation, okay? And for them now that is in their syllabus, they are sitting and by-hearting that. So, what I say is, if you develop the required insight, you don't have to by-heart anything. You don't have to go to anything else. The essential thing is to generate the intuitive insight required to get Advait as it is. And for that, this yoga will help you, I'm telling you. Make the practice so perfect that your every day will be a masterpiece. When that clarity reigns, Advait unfolds. Otherwise, it is an intellectual process. It appears like that. So you see, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is direct definition of Brahman. Reality. That is what they are telling then. The Taittiriya Upanishad is directly pointing out to the truth of Brahman. When you don't see this as direct, you can be sure your mind is muddled. That is why I told you this, that Samadhi and all, that's why I told you. Practice that then. Clear it up. Clear the clutter and you'll see reality as it is. And you'll see scripture is actually talking of direct reality. Even implied meaning you don't have to take. They are actually talking of direct truth. Taina. What a direct definition. See, Satchidananda Brahma. Isn't it a direct definition? How did they find out this? Tell me. Will your mind ever give you a concept like that? No. It is the feeling, the inner awareness when it opens up. You will see obviously this is Sat, Chit and Ananda Swarup. Obviously this is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Brahma is that. So how do I realize Brahman? You can do it directly through inquiry and scripture, Mahavakyas. these direct statements. But if we are not up to it, if the mind is not clear enough, then you practice Samadhi, you practice all these other yogas. Bring in that clarity and you will get it. Ultimately, it is of the nature of insight. Yes, the meditative process is a help towards it. Because reality doesn't happen only when you sit in meditation. It is ever there. Your mind is being trained through meditation. That is all, to see reality as it is. These are all the deepest truths of life. Live life at a deeper level and this will become relevant. So this is the definition of God. If we don't go to the Upanishads, what will be your definition of God? Yes? When we don't go to the source, then we will create definitions like God is all compassionate, God is all kind, God is in the image. So you see, that image alone is God. Dogma, doctrine, fundamentalism, all our mind is interpreting now. Yes. And we have done this for centuries. That is why Vivekananda's definition of religion, can you give me? Vivekananda is really like Buddha, no? The sanest mind that lived. How did he define religion? Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest that divinity from within. And you do this either by work, worship, psychic control, philosophy, by one or all of these, and reach that goal. This is the whole of religion. And doctrines, dogmas, books, temples, churches, bells are all secondary details. Yes? See, the dualistic worshipper will say, what are you saying? God is in the temple. When you don't have Upanishad, this is what we have done. That is why you should keep this knowledge alive in society. So we know what we are doing. The real spirit of the sages must come into our hearts. Then we only will know why temple also is required, idols also are required, bhakti also, everything is required. But we will know how to see it. Yes, reality is not there only in the temple. It is everywhere. I couldn't see it, so I created a temple where I could feel it a little more. Yes. So unnecessary argumentation, quarrels, and all this dogmas, dogmatic understanding, all this will go. If we catch the real spirit of, and this is the spirit of every religion. That's the beauty of it. The truth is there in every religion. And every religion is nothing but a path to the ultimate truth. Aqua, water, pani, vari, naam, daya, jole. Allah, God, Isha, Bhusha. We have given the name. See, just like how we give names and forms reality, it is God's names and forms also we give reality and keep fighting over it. But truth is only one. Everything else is symbolic of that truth. So Swamiji, in fact, used to say, you want to worship God in the temple, but the Taj Mahal of temples is already in front of you. That same divine is shining in every human heart. Jai Jan, what he said, one who loves his brother and serves him, verily serves the Lord. There's no difference. Same divinity is shining in every human heart. It's the light in your eyes. If I ignore all that and only temple worship. So we have done all this, okay, many times. So let us make all this clear here. You must go directly to the source, Upanishads, and everything will find its place. We respect every form of worship. And in the Ramakrishna order, we do dualism, we do Vishishta Advaita, qualified non-dualism, we do Advaita, non-dualism. Every path, every method is welcome. Every yoga is welcome. Everything has been harmonized because that was Thakur's bhav. Isn't it? He himself practiced all religions. Isn't it? And he it was his felt experience that every religion is leading to the same goal. So they are all paths. That is why Jato Mat Tato Pat. It is one of the greatest statements and discoveries ever made. Have you ever known a person who was Hindu and Christian and Muslim for few days? Thakur was. Yes, he completely practiced every religion and understood that that religion is leading to the same state of consciousness which we are calling God. So every path is valid, every religion is respectable, every religion should receive the highest respect because it is a valid path to the highest. The very purpose of religion is to convert the brute into man and man into God. The purpose of religion is not silly quarrels and dogmas. It is the only transforming agent which transforms our life into divine, something divine. Transforms human consciousness into the consciousness of God. So isn't it valuable? Wherever there has been high civilization, there has been religion. Please know this. And even today we are seeing it in such a huge way. You go to the US, the highest intellectuals, people most well established in society are hankering for meditation, hankering for living in nature. Forest bathing is so common in Japan. Why they are hankering for all this? The highest minds will hanker for this only. Yes. Because, human evolution, it may begin with biological evolution, then it goes to psychosocial evolution, evolution of mind. Finally, it comes to evolution of consciousness. The deeper the development of consciousness, the more unfoldment of higher awareness, that is the evolution of the human species. Right? Or is survival of the fittest the highest for human species? That's for animals. And if we want to only remain at the animalistic level, then that is the highest. But human evolution is about spiritual consciousness, developing into that complete manifestation of the power of Brahman.
That is the importance of life.
That is the glory of life. Jar jivane ota hoyeche, ota prasputit hoyeche, that is the highest evolution of the human species. So this is how it has been understood here. The very theory of evolution changes, in Vedanta. So if we have grasped all this properly, then our study of Panchadashi is fruitful. I told you this has 15 chapters. Panchadashi itself means 15 chapters of concentrated discussion on the nature of reality, Satchidananda. And we saw in this particular scripture especially so much of reference to training of mind, yoga, practical methods he has given. And the knowledge of Brahman has been unpacked for us in various ways. Right? And further on, you please continue your study even after the retreat. Further on, you will see he has analyzed happiness in such beautiful ways in this scripture. The very sum and substance of Sat, Chit and Ananda has been analyzed. Existence, consciousness and bliss. So it is a masterly work from a luminous mind. And if you keep touch with this, our own mind will become luminous. Our dull minds will get the light. So that is why these scriptures are very See, this is the most important literature on the planet, I would say. Isn't it? Because the inner life is being unfolded for us. Everything else is dealing with outer objects. All sciences are dealing with outer objects. This is the only piece of literature directly going into the heart of human consciousness. Any other scripture you find? And that's why it's so impersonal. You cannot say, because I am a Hindu, I can study Upanishads. Anybody can study the Upanishads. Because it's about human consciousness. Before you started thinking you were of this religion or that religion, you were a conscious entity. And it's a research into consciousness. So it is for everybody. It is universal. Truth is always universal. Untruth is limited. Yes. whatever is untrue will always, you will see, it will be parochial, it will be ethnic, it will be limited to one particular space, community, time. But truth is always universal. So knowing this, just subscribe to the ultimate truth. That is the message of the Upanishads. And these are auxiliary scriptures, which means prakarana granthas. But they give out the essence, the message of the Upanishads very beautifully. And it is coming out from a monk who was the head of Shringeri Math. So it is coming out from the highest mind. Naturally, it is so impactful, isn't it? So we will keep up our study of the scriptures even after the retreat, right? This is just a short period of study, but you must continue it. Every day, some exposure to this. We'll end it here. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanastu.